Hello and thank you for attending my PowerPoint presentation about Himeko. Himeko may be the most buffed character in history. She was pretty bad in 1.0 to 1.5 before being revived in 1.6 due to the addition of Pure Fiction. She deletes Pure Fiction with Herta like absolutely nothing else. In terms of base stats, her HP and defense are pretty low, but then her attack is tied with Luocha for second and third, only behind Ratio. Her speed is at 96, which is below average, and her energy cost is 120, which is average. Overall, she has pretty high attack, and that's really all she needs to be good. Her basic is identical to most other basics, just generates 20 energy and a skill point, don't use it. Her skill just does blast damage. It's pretty good damage overall. It's good for weakness breaking. It generates 30 energy and consumes a skill point, like most other skills. Her ult does damage to all enemies. She also regenerates 5 extra energy for each one that dies, which is pretty good damage and weakness break. It costs 120 energy. Now her talent is the reason why I'm mentioning weakness break. When enemies are weakness broken, she gets a stack of charge, up to 3 stacks. When she reaches 3 stacks, it consumes all 3 stacks and does a follow-up attack, doing a good amount of her attack to all enemies. The thing is, this follow-up attack, if it weakness breaks an enemy, it can trigger itself. And she also instantly gains 3 charges when breaking an elite or boss, even though it's not stated in the description. She also starts combat with 1 charge. Additionally, every single time this follow-up attack triggers, she regenerates 10 energy, which is pretty insane. Her technique creates a dimension that lasts for 15 seconds. After entering battle with enemies in the dimension, there is a 100% base chance to increase the fire damage they take by 10% for 2 turns. It stays in place, and it also stays when you switch characters, so always use it unless there's another dimension you want. In terms of traces, her A2 gives her 50% of base chance to inflict a small burn on all her attacks. It's not worth building for, so don't. And her A4 gives her skill 20% damage bonus against burned enemies. Her A6 gives her 15% crit rate when above 80% HP. She also gets 22.4% fire damage bonus, 18% attack, and 10% effect res from minor traces. Her E1 gives her 20% speed boost for 2 turns after a follow-up attack. Her E2 gives 15% damage bonus against enemies with less than half health. Her E3 gives plus 2 trace levels to skill and plus 1 to basic. Her E4 gives 1 extra stack of charge when skill weakness breaks. Her E5 gives plus 2 trace levels to her ult and talent. And her E6 basically gives her ult 2 extra bounce hits, and she is one of the most important units to have in build for Pure Fiction, because, well, she destroys Pure Fiction when paired with Herta like nothing else. If Herta plus Himeko plus a dual DPS buffer or Jade is one of the most premier team comps for Pure Fiction. It is very satisfying to watch.